We are 11 days away from the November 5th presidential election, and election security is top of mind for voters. Joining us live in studio is Oklahoma U.S. Senator James Lankford. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Glad to.
What would you say to voters about election security to kind of ease their minds?
Oh, there's a lot going on with election security, not only in Oklahoma, but nationwide. We continue to have a very secure election system in Oklahoma, where we have notaries. If you're going to mail in, we have in-person voting. My wife and I, we have already voted by mail to get that done. And then you can obviously show up day of the election. But we do optical scanners, we do paper ballot backup. We can verify each one. And if someone votes twice in Oklahoma, they have law enforcement show up at their door after the fact and to be able to say you voted twice. And so we actually enforce the law. That's the way it should be done. And so we have a very good system, and I do encourage people, everyone, to be able to get out and vote.
Now, of course, you've been busy meeting with Oklahoma business owners about their priorities regarding tax changes in 2025. What is next for them as those tax cuts from the Trump administration are going to expire?
Yeah, people may not realize it, but on November the 5th, the American people are going to pick the negotiators for what their taxes are going to be like for the next 10 years. The 2017 tax bill expires at the end of this next year. And so that means regardless who wins House, Senate, White House, that will be the negotiating team for the tax policy for the next decade or more. So it is very important that people not only get out and vote, they stay informed on it, but then they also think about what are those tax policies that are most important to their small business or them as individuals. We are going to have taxes. That is just a reality. We've got to be able to do roads and streets and national security things, but we need to figure out how to make it the best we possibly can.
You're co-sponsoring legislation to protect Israel's standing with the United Nations. Kind of talk about your reasoning behind this.
Yeah, there's several big issues that are there. The United Nations has been a hotbed of opposition to Israel for years and years. Everyone, it's very well known. No one denies that. There's a lot of folks that just hate Israel in the United Nations and that larger body. There's been this global focus on trying to be able to blame Israel for all the war that they're currently in. And people forget that October the 7th of last year, there was a group of terrorists that came across the border into Israel and killed 1,200 Israelis simply because they were Jewish and they lived in Israel. So Israel is now taking on rockets from literally every single direction, from the north, from Lebanon and Hezbollah, from the west, from Gaza, and from Hamas, from the south, from the Houthis in Yemen, and now from the east, from Iran. And so Israel is just trying to make it stop. And so for me, I think it's important for the United States to be able to speak out to say that we stand with Israel as our partner and as our ally and friend. And we want to see an end to this war as well, but we also want to see an end to terrorism.
Let's pivot to your recent trip to the border. You recently tweeted this isn't just a border crisis, it's a national security threat. What action are you taking right now at the border?
I continue to be able to address this issue. When I'm at the border just 2 weeks ago in a very remote area in Arizona to be able to look at what's happening, the Sinaloa cartel is having an all-out war right now on the southern side of our border. And we lose track of this as Americans, but there's a bloodbath happening in northern Mexico right now with the Sinaloa cartel attacking each other for power and control. That's affecting what's happening south of Arizona, but we're still seeing record numbers of people that are coming across in very high numbers. They've come down, thankfully, from a year ago. We're all grateful for that, but they're still very high there, and we still see a lot of people coming across the border that are coming across getting what's called parole from the Biden-Harris administration. These folks are coming to the border, they're checking in early, and when they check in early, they're given a work permit and released into the country. Though they're not legally present, they're paroled into the country, and it's a big issue. I literally watched Russians coming through our port of entry just being released into our country. We have no criminal background information on them. We have no other detailed information for them. That's happening right now still on our southern border. So while the media nationally has looked away from this issue, it's still a very significant issue on our border. We've got to resolve this issue.
Senator James Lankford, thanks so much for being with us here in studio.
I'll be glad to do it again.